Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Now in this video we are taking a look at a very interesting version of Windows. This is Windows 11 Enterprise G, rumored to be a version for governments, particularly the government of China has been thrown around a lot when discussing this version, but it could be for any government out there really. It promises to be quite debloated and just faster and also a lot more secure, but we will be installing it and putting it to the test. As you can see, the installation is pretty normal. There's nothing really that sticks out here, although later in the OBE you'll see that it actually gives you the option to skip having a network account by default. You don't have to bypass NRO or anything like that, which I thought is interesting. It just has the I don't have internet option. But yeah, this is the install. It seems to install just fine. It installs regularly. There's no weird sketchy setup or anything like that. And yeah, so we'll just get into it after this is done. Alright, so here we are at the desktop, and now it does look much like a normal version of Windows, although you will notice we are missing certain elements from the sort of taskbar area here. We have no news, we have no current events, no stocks, no weather, nothing like that. I guess they don't have time for that where this is used. Now the other thing you'll see that's interesting, I have installed VMware Tools, but the other thing you see that's interesting is we have Windows Security, but it don't work. So if we open the security dashboard, it just says, I don't know what to do with this. And this is because most UWP apps, with the exception of settings, don't work in this version of Windows. And the best way to demonstrate that is just to open up the start, whatever, this isn't even the menu anymore, I guess it's the start menu, it's not in my mind, but anyway, you open this up and we see nothing. So that's it. Take it all in, guys. This is the whole suite. This is the selection of apps we get here. There are some things in here, and I mean in accessibility we have this stuff, and we have the Windows tools, which gives you all of the Windows NT normal administrative tools. You get Task Manager, you get all of this stuff, but I mean this is really about it. I mean you do have some stuff. I mean we got calculator. Okay, we don't have calculator because it's trying to open the UWP app. Okay, we have Notepad, and Notepad is this version of Notepad. It's not the new tabbed version. And we have well, other fantastic apps such as MS Paint doesn't work because it's gone, and then also the Paint 3D app is gone. We have no image viewer, I don't think. So if we go to the gallery, I don't even think we have any sample pictures. We don't have anything. But yeah, so this is a very, very light version of Windows. Now you'll notice I don't have it on the network here. And that is for a good reason. I don't know what this version of Windows does, and I don't have VLANs set up on my local network, so I don't want this thing on my network. Not that we could do a lot with it on the network anyway, because this thing doesn't have a browser. If we go to Program Files, do we have Internet Explorer? Yes. No longer supported. So okay, so yeah, we are officially browserless. So we have no browser, and we have no way to use this on the network without installing one. Now this is obviously not a big deal, you know, in the real world here we would just plug in a USB stick and we would go ahead and put a browser on, but you know, I've got to stick to authenticity. Let's have a look at WinVer and see what that says. So we have Windows 11 Enterprise G operating system, and its user interface are protected by trademark and pending other things like that. So I mean, yeah, if we go into the system here, there's nothing really that sticks out to me as different in here except for this Enterprise G version. Now there is some speculation as to whether this is actually real or not, whether this is just something a person created using a debloat tool, or whether this is a genuine thing that's actually distributed in China or for government use elsewhere. But I mean, yeah, there's really not a lot we can do here. We've done VMware Tools. This is probably not very exciting of a video. What we can do is we can look in regedit, and I can try and look at the version string and see if there's anything interesting in there. So in this version we do have something interesting, and it is GE release. So I will have to look into what GE release is, but we do have the edition ID set here as Enterprise G, Windows 10 Enterprise G. The release ID says 2009, version 2009 was Windows 10, so I'm not really sure whether that's legitimate, but then the display version is 24H2. Nothing really too interesting here besides this GE release thing in the build lab. This would not normally be set, this would not normally be changed, I should say, by somebody who's just, normally you wouldn't touch this, normally you would just change, you can change the product name to whatever you want, but it's interesting that it says Windows 10 Enterprise G here. Did it say that in WinVer, actually? No, it says Windows 11 Enterprise G, so I don't know what this string is actually doing. Can we change this to just anything? Does that change WinVer? No. Fascinating. I'll put it back because I'm a nice guy. I return the shopping trolley. Edition ID, nothing. No, that's actually just an internal thing. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what this is doing here. I don't know why. I don't know what that's reading from. Now, one of the things I thought that would be interesting to take a look at is in the settings, if there's anything different in here. So all of this stuff looks pretty interesting to me, but when I was having a little bit of a mess around, a bit of a tinker with this off camera, I did find one thing that I don't think most people would notice, but me with my job working in enterprise IT, I sort of have seen this a million times, so it stuck out to me. If you go to accounts here, and you go to, I believe, access work or school, and you go to add a work or school account, you'll see that there's something missing from this. So there's usually an option here under alternate actions to join this device to an intra ID domain or an intra domain. I don't remember the exact wording, although I click on it every day. Now, if you don't know what intra is, it's just basically think of it as company device management or education device management. Devices are enrolled into intra. It used to be called Azure Active Directory or Azure AD or Intune. All names for the same thing because Microsoft's a mess and there's 20 different admin centers. If you know, you know. If not, that's fine. But basically, that is the Microsoft device management. So your school or work would have these devices enrolled, and from there they can wipe them, they can manage them, they can set policies for them. It's kind of like an online version of how you would have a domain controller back in the day that gave group policies out. If anyone's old enough, I mean, people do still use them, but group policies used to be the done thing, and that's where you would set settings. Now it's intra. So that option's missing, which I think is very interesting for this version of Windows. I mean, everything else though looks pretty much the same. I don't see anything interesting. Now Windows security though is just gone. I don't really know what. You can't even touch the firewall. Actually, that's a good question. So control panel's here, and you do have the firewall here. You can manage the firewall, which is fine. Now there's nothing that stuck out to me in here, although I don't know what SNMP trap is, but all of these things are all normal. Nothing crazy in the allowed apps here. You can turn on the firewall, obviously, or turn it off, but you can't use the new version of Windows settings to do this. Now you do have BitLocker as well. BitLocker is basically a drive encryption that allows you to, in the event that your device is locked or stolen, it allows you to lock the drive, or the drive to be locked remotely using that aforementioned Intune or Azure device management, as it used to be called. Basically, in those management centers, you can mark a device as lost or stolen and activate BitLocker so nobody can get it. Now, you can obviously just wipe the device. It's Windows, and all the devices usually have open UEFI or BIOS settings. You can boot from a USB and wipe it, but you can't get the data back. So that does have some sort of security. So that is here, which I actually sort of didn't expect. But I mean, all of this stuff here is just is normal, but it's interesting that the UWP apps are just all gone. User accounts are still here. This is the old school user accounts as well. I don't know if this is even still here in retail Windows 11. I don't even use this, but of course you can use the new settings to do your stuff. This is very interesting. This, I would not recommend using this. We discussed Windows 10 IoT LTSC in another video. That was a very, very slimmed down version of Windows, and I sort of did recommend using that to an extent, if that's what you're after, a slimmed down Windows experience. But this is a little bit too slim for my taste. There's not really a lot going on here. What I'm probably going to do in another video is look at the network traffic. I'm going to get this isolated properly, and we're going to see what traffic this does, this sends and receives rather. But for the time being, if you do happen across this version, I would not put it on your network. You never know what's built into these things. You also never know what's in any custom version of Windows, really. I would definitely stick to just, if you want a de-bloated version of Windows, I would get the official ISO from Microsoft and install it, and then do the debloat from there, or just use IoT LTSC Enterprise or whatever that version was. I don't quite remember. That version is quite slimmed down, and it still works fine for 90% of the use cases out there, whereas a version like this is going to massively handicap you when it comes to just doing pretty much anything, really, to be honest. So that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.